Welcome, listeners. We're back with a new episode of the Corporate Happiness Show. And I tell you what, my guest today, we're kind of going way back at this point. We both live in Tampa. We met over LinkedIn, and then we actually, by coincidence, then again, I never think anything is a coincidence. It's always meant to be. We sat at a luncheon together right next to each other of the Women Business Center in South Tampa. And then she looked at me and said, "Hey, I know you." And I'm like, yeah, okay, via LinkedIn we found out. So she is amazing, and we get further into her story, why she's so amazing. So welcome, Laura Zarrate. See, I practice your name and I still can't say it right. Zarrate, apologies.
No worries, you're not the only one. But thank you so much for having me. Yeah, that's normal. So thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, so let's get started.
Wonderful, wonderful. So yeah, thank you for being here. I looked forward to our conversation because you have an amazing background. Because to me, you have the experience of working in corporate and working 80-hour weeks, and also now, or since you can tell us since when you have your own company, the founder of Athena. So you have that experience of what both sides are looking like.
Yeah, so exactly. So well, let me just do a quick intro of my history. So I am an accountant by trade, and I decided that I went to school here and actually in Tampa, and I went straight after I graduated from my master's. I went straight into one of the big fours called Deloitte and Touche. It's called like the big four accounting companies, one of those. And they're actually famous for their hours.
So like for their hours, for a lot of hours. You knew what yourself,
for a lot of hours.
Yeah, you knew what you're getting yourself into, basically.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like in the accounting world, we know that it's great for your resume, but you're probably going to work a lot of hours the first couple of years until you either get promoted or you find a better job based on the company. So it's kind of like almost like a head start. So I went ahead and did that, and then I went ahead and switched to another, like more of a national firm, and I did more of like consulting and taxation, a little bit of everything. And then 4 years ago, I started my own company, and I actually decided to do everything that those companies were not. So
amazing.
Yeah, so that's kind of like my story. And it was really, I mean, working 80-hour weeks was crazy. But yeah, I based my company on like collaboration and commitment and empowerment. And I think that's very unique because of, of the field per se. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of like why I started my company. I wanted to for women, my company targets women to find clarity around their numbers and not be scared, but feel empowered to use their numbers to see their future goals.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So talking about empowerment, because you just mentioned that empowering and gaining the power, what do you think empowerment, especially for women, let's just get into where your expertise is and what you chose to do. What do you think it has to do, empowerment with happiness? What do you think? What do you think is the direct connection between those two?
Well, empowerment is feeling, I describe it as feeling invincible. I think it's like this feeling that everything will work out. We don't predict the future, but I think it's safe to be an optimist, and just say I have the confidence in myself that no matter what, I know whatever life throws at me, I'm gonna figure it out. And I think that with happiness or joy are very connected because it gives you a sense of peace, right?
Yeah, and
Like that.
especially with finances, a lot of times it's like if you're not feeling invincible with finances, no matter your situation, that really takes away from you showing up as a really, confident, happy being.
Yes, and I also found, and the reason why I do what I do, I help women entrepreneurs scale their businesses. And the reason why I started doing that is because I found that a lot of women were almost like scared of seeing their numbers and seeing their expenses. And I was like, well, your expenses are showing you where your priorities, like what are you doing? How can you change? And almost like, okay, if you want to get to this amount of money, or you want to take this trip, or you want to have kids, or every woman is different and has its different goals. So her different goals. So I think that really letting the numbers speak and almost be like a guide instead of something that you don't want to see every month.
I like that.
Yeah, especially with entrepreneurs, because let's face it, entrepreneurship is it's almost like you're jumping off an airplane and you're building your wings down. You're like, oh my goodness.
While you fly and you're building your wings. I like that. Yes.
That's the way I describe it, because it's almost like it's this scary excitement and up and down, and you just gotta embrace it. So I think the scary part sometimes is the numbers.
Yeah, I think so too. And it is a lot of times the numbers, and especially I do believe for women in the entrepreneurship for sure. So going a little bit backwards to your corporate experience about happiness. So how highly was happiness rated in your experience working in the corporate world?
I wouldn't say they didn't care, but I would say there was definitely a lot of pressure to be productive for the company. I did have like not the best time. I for example, I had people telling me, well, this is what you sign up for, things like that. And I knew like what I had signed up for, and I understand, but at the same time, I had instances where it was 10 p.m. and they were like, no, just, like very, I think they sometimes missed the human in an employee and the needs. I think we are all we each have a threshold where we want to be happy and be productive. And I also feel like sometimes they did not communicate how my work was going to impact the company. So sometimes it felt like almost like I was on a treadmill, but I wasn't like going anywhere.
Anywhere, right? Yeah.
So
because as an entrepreneur, you're like sometimes like that too. I'm a small business owner and you are on a treadmill, but it's different because you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your passion. You kind of know why you're doing it, and that really can bring you a satisfaction, and that can lead into happiness and well-feeling. And when you don't know exactly where you're going, and then that can really happen. So you think it's also because it's the size of the company, because you said you then went into other businesses too. Do you think it's the size of the company too? Does it change with the size in your experience, or does it really change from being an employee in a corporate world versus being an entrepreneur? That's what the big shift is.
I think it would be the size. There's a couple of factors there. I think one of them is the size. especially when it comes to corporate accounting, and corporate, just like corporate accounting per se. Sometimes we are doing what already happened, not what is going to happen. So we are like, accountants are for corporate people, or for corporate company, I guess, companies. It's almost like a requirement that nobody wants to do. Let's be honest. So I think, I don't know if corporate accountants are aware of that or not, but I did find that a lot of people are like, well, I'm not doing anything fulfilling for my company because I don't see the impact.
Yeah.
And I think, now that I think about it, I think that's kind of one of the major points of dissatisfaction, not only in the accounting, but in just corporate America. They don't see the impact that they're having, or we don't see the impact that we're having. Therefore, we're almost like working against the wall that doesn't want to move. So at some point, we're like, what's the point of, going through the wall, or just trying to push the wall if it's not going to move?
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing is when you're an entrepreneur, you do know why you're doing it.
Exactly.
However, I also think then the highlight, I like that point, what you're making, you don't see the why. Well, that is actually a real wake-up call in my eyes. And I'm glad you came up with that. It's profound, because it's a wake-up call for anybody that's listening, that's in a leadership, to make sure that your people know the why. Because as an employee, when you're working all these hours and you're tired and you have a family, you have a life, and you're tired, burnout, maybe whatever life brings you, and you're still bringing these hours to the table, not only is it important to, to make those hours less so people can actually feel good, but to help them in a very positive and a very inspirational way, to help them see the why. As a leadership, it's like leadership is many things, but the why, show your people the why. It can be, the why can be that you're grateful for them. The why could be for a wholesome goal as a company. If we're succeeding, we can give everyone more money, or you give everyone time off. Or if it's a project that's really just right now, it has to happen. Yes, we all have to work really fast and really long hours. The why would be, well, afterwards, I tell you what, we're celebrating. You're gonna get a bonus, you're gonna get time off, what do you want? Even ask them, right? But keep focusing on showing your people the why. I think that's profound.
Yeah, and definitely that's something that I think a lot of leaders don't know about. Like, it's almost like you have to keep almost like a broken record. Keep telling them, this is the goal, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, because it is very important that they see their effort as bearing fruit.
Yes, absolutely. And that they're valued, and also like, show your people and tell your people the why is this. And without you, we couldn't get to the why. So you are absolutely so important for us.
Yes.
Bring it all together, instead of just leading them to be better at their work or work faster and harder, whatnot. And it's kind of like, go back to being a human. Like, every human needs a why. It's an inspirational thing to get up in the morning, and why? Yes, to be alive, to enjoy my day. But especially if you're an employee in a company, that why is just so important. And it can't just be the why so the business grows or everything gets better. It has to tie into the why, that the employee is carrying something away from that why too. Be it more money, be it a time off, be it the promotion, be it anything really. And that's where then it comes in to ask your people, what is it that you'd like? What is it that you need? Because everyone kind of needs and likes something different, wouldn't you say?
I definitely think so. And also, like, ask your people, like, how can I support you? Like, how can I specifically make your life easier so you can be happier?
I like that. So you can be happy. I like that. So your background also comes from bodybuilding. And I know you shared that in your bio, you shared it with me, and I find it fascinating. And I think it's just so amazing. And that's why I'm bringing it up, and I hope you don't mind. But how does bodybuilding tie into your work, and how I know it helps you do what you like to do in certain ways. So how does it support you as a person in working, in doing your business and being good with your partners and employees? And how does it tie into then being a passion? It's also supporting what you do. How does that work for you?
Well, I mean, in many ways, I think if we're going to go very scientific, working out just per se makes happy chemicals in our body. To me, it helps me process things. So not that I take it as I'm going to process things, I'm going to go to the gym, but it definitely helps my mental health, being an entrepreneur. But I've been doing this for 10 years. So when I was an employee, I'm working 80 hours a week. I would wake up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym because I knew that it was going to be better. So the way it supports me is it teaches me the magic of consistency and dedication in a very tangible way. Because I can see the changes not only on my mood, but on my physique.
And you feel different too.
Yeah,
so different.
Definitely feel different. And also, like, let's go and tie the empowerment piece. You know how empowered you feel when you can, lift 100 pounds and have no one help you? Like, let's talk about that. I know
Absolutely. No, I love it. I love it. And the thing is like when you do something like that, and for some it's 100 pounds, for some it's much less, but when you do work out and when you move along in the ladder of lifting more weights or running faster or more whatnot, like really to tune into that, how it felt for you and how it does feel for you, and then to not go below that anymore. That's your new way that you actually want to feel, be it in private, be it in business, be it in anything. And then you have like a new line to go from, and then whatever is not fitting that, you can actually go revisit and say, you know what, this is my new how I want to feel, and this does not feel like that. Is it the thing that's not feeling? Is it the situation? Can I change it? Right? Could I just let it go? And I think like what you're saying is like working out. I'm a believer in movement. Oh, I love moving and doing just really good things for your body. And I always love taking the feeling, that good feeling from it, and say, that's my feeling, how I want to feel today, and what is not feeling that way. And from there, you can create change, right?
Yeah. So from there, I think it gives you the power to be like, okay, this is where I am, without like any blame or self-criticism or anything. And then understand that at any point you can make the decision to change the direction that you're going.
I love that. I love that. I mean, that's just amazing. And like you say, it ties into empowerment. It ties into empowerment so much. And I would also say that, especially for women, it's very important. It's very important because sometimes you will go into these old recordings where you're not feeling empowered, right? Where you're like, some things happen in a society in your outer world, and it's not necessarily supporting you as a woman in business or as a mom or anything really, to then say, you know what, I lift a lot of weight, or I'm running like a real wild runner, I'm doing yoga, I'm so flexible. What are you talking about? I feel empowered to solve the empowerment on the, on the physical side, also on the way you live, the way you feel, and also that ties into then the work and all that.
Yeah. And also like the power of showing up every day, no matter what, no matter if like you don't want to be here, no matter, like, just show up, because showing up is like half of the homework. Like just going to the gym is half of the homework. Obviously, like having a good workout, it's great, but sometimes I accept that, it might not be my best workout, but I still showed up. So again, that ties into like consistency of things. And that also helps me figure out, if I show up for my business and the person I want to be and the person I see myself being as this, and that I am, let's face it, because, if you show up as something, you are that person. If I show up like that, then that automatically is gonna be who I am.
I love that. I really love that. And that it's consistency. However, it's almost like you're holding yourself onto that consistency. So on the days that it may not, you don't feel so much like it, you can hold yourself on, I'm a consistent person and I have a plan and I'm going to go anyway. And then you're going to find your way into that feeling of like, I'm so glad I came. I'm so glad I'm doing that. So would you think that putting like your physical fitness as a high priority, would you think that that is something that people really should take note and really do for themselves?
Oh, definitely. I definitely think so. I think, I mean, we're gonna go into energetics here, but I think like if you have a happy like physique, which communicates to your mind, then it just like attracts all around you. Again, like you show up as this happy, fulfilled, good leader that's gonna pretty much like manifest all around you with your employees, with your team, with your customers. You're going to be able to serve your customers better. You're going to be able to even be more empathetic about their problems. So I definitely think so. And I think that part of like my success as a business owner is the physical aspect. Even though I'm not selling like workout or anything, I think a big part, like a big pillar of my business is, that physical aspect that makes me the person that shows up every day to her business.
I love it. I love it. And I mean, listen, I think it's amazing. I look up to you so much that you're doing the bodybuilding, because I know for a fact that it takes a lot of determination, takes a lot of mind strength, and it's not an easy, simple thing to do, especially like when you take it to the level that you do. You do shows, right?
Yeah. So I've done 5 shows.
Wow.
Right now I'm like on these, they call it off season, but it's bodybuilding, not body. Like you have to build the body to be able to show it. So,
yeah.
So just to take that in consideration. But yeah, I mean, I love it. I go to bodybuilding shows still. I do get involved as much as possible, and many of my clients are actually fellow other bodybuilders. So
amazing. So they're already bringing that consistency to the table. That's amazing.
yeah, exactly. So I think, and also like bodybuilding to the extreme, which is a show. Again, it teaches you to just persevere and keep, like, no matter how you feel, just keep doing what you're doing, what you're supposed to be doing. And it just also, like, to me, it almost provides like evidence. When that negative talk is like, who you think you are, or that.
Yes.
I think we all have that, right?
Yeah, of course.
Establish that. I think I use it in a way that I'm like, I have the evidence that I have done X and Y, and I can do this. It's almost like you're showing yourself the great, like, I don't want to say great person, but the person that you are or that you want to be, in a way that you're like, I have to prove to myself that this is all, like, I've done this, you can do this. And that's the way it is. So it's almost like a feedback loop. You do it and then you're like, oh, I'm that person, go. And then let's keep doing it.
Yeah, and that fires you up even more. And you got that why. We're coming back to that why. And it doesn't really matter if it's in if it's in private life, in business life, or physicality or energetically, the why is really important. And it's not an excuse, the why, because it's just like, if it's so, aligned with your passion, with your heart, with what you like to do, to take that as a why is really, really amazing. And if you're a leader and you have these employees, to give them the why that they want when you ask them. And let's say somebody says, I'd like to have more money, I would like to earn more money, I'd like to get a bonus, or I'd like to have time off, or a promotion. If you give them that why is dear to their heart, meaning that this why is chock full of happiness, meaningfulness, and it's not empty, and it's not just materialism, and it's not just like your ego is talking and your ego is doing that why. No, it's actually something that's dear to your heart. And when you have a why that's dear to your heart, and it's shown to you, and you remember that, and then you also getting that why, you're seeing proof of the why, that is important in business and also in private life.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think also something I did want to mention is that I found the power of vulnerability with my team as we are right now to be also a great driver to like our success. So right now I have a team of 5 people, and I'm very transparent of who I am, what my why is, where we're going. And I think, I don't know if it was like the old corporate rhetoric that used to say something like, no, we are, like you're almost like a freaking gladiator. You're like, no, yeah, we're going there, and I'm not showing that I'm a person with insecurities and blah, blah, blah. And now I feel like we're coming into this age, and maybe it's the pandemic, I'm not really sure, but we're coming into this age where leaders are showing that they're people, because the tone at the top determines the other people. So if you show that you're human, the other people are gonna really not hesitate to be like, hey, I need time off this week because my mother is sick. Or, instead of being like, no, I'm gonna suck it up and do something. And I think, I think, that's something that I would see happen when I was working for somebody else 5 years ago. I wouldn't never say, oh, I have to whatever. But now I see, even like towards my colleagues and in my own team, where if I say, hey guys, I don't, I don't think I'm feeling that well, I'm gonna take the afternoon off, and they in their own sense can do that too. And I mean, and that's a small example of vulnerability, of showing that you're not made of stone, and that you're a person, and that work is part of your life, but it's not your life. Yeah, like there's other aspects of you.
I like that. It humanizes everything, because that's always coming up in, the focus groups, which you took part in too. Thank you for that. And in the podcast episodes about the happiness in corporate and work life and all that, it really is that humanizing everything. And also what came up is to create a safe space so people can actually open up. But you just really tied it all together when you said, well, if I'm vulnerable and I show who I am, then people will do the same, and that creates that safe space. So instead of going and creating a safe space, just be vulnerable as a leader. And you just said that, and I think that's very potent. You don't have to do much, just be a human being, and the people will feel safe to be that too.
Definitely, yes. Create a safe space. Exactly. So like, just show who you are, what are your priorities, and then meet people where they are. Sometimes I found that some people are having difficulties, and it's completely outside of work. Like, either I've had people that are like have problems in their relationships, are taking care of a parent. So again, we go back to that. How can I support you better? Be curious instead of judgmental, kind of. I think that's it.
I like that. I like that. And it's like really like set an example because the people will follow. So it really just is impressive to me in how you come from the corporate and you took that learning and you're actually implementing that now into your own business. And not only does that make you a happy person, but it makes a really, really wonderful business that's actually thriving. It makes really great customers. However, it also creates really happy employees. And I like when you say, you know, transparency, vulnerability, communication, all this. It's like this. I mean, I want to come work for you, basically. You know, yeah, find something for me to do. I'll come. I'd be so excited to be there in that super space. So, what do you do for happiness for yourself? I know you work out. Besides that, also to kind of nourish the happiness of your team at work, because I do believe that as a leader, as an owner, an entrepreneur, you and business, it's kind of like, you know, it kind of flows into each other. So what do you do to be happy and aligned and also to create happiness at work?
Well, I mean, a big part of me being happy, besides working out, I think it's, I don't know. I mean, obviously, we do have multiple things going on. Being a business owner, you have a million things going on. Something that I found that really makes me happy is being able to focus at one task at a time, have priority lists, and being able to, on the weekends, disconnect completely. Like after 6 p.m., it's not my intention to be answering any emails. So like have that off time, because now with the virtual world, I found that a lot of people do not disconnect, and I expect the same from my team. Like I'm not, if I'm working on a Sunday, it's because I really want to catch up for Monday, but it's not because you have to answer me. So like if I do say this to like my team, like guys, like after 5 p.m., please, like if you see anything from me, just see it the next day. So I think that's a big one. Just I think for happiness for me, with that, just like doing small steps to have boundaries around your life, around your work. Just those boundaries are so important for me.
I like that. Yeah.
That was one of the examples. I think a lot, I mean, I have 2 dogs and a husband, and I think it's just spending time with them. I do have 2 teenage brothers, and just having like that family time, and my dad. So like also having that's kind of, and then for my team, I do, something that I do, like, first of all, let's face it, if they see me having those things, they will do that.
Yes.
So I am an example to those who are who I'm managing or who are on my team, to do the same thing, to take time with their family, to not answer immediately at 9 p.m. Things like that, to take time to work out. So sometimes I'm like, guys, give me 1 hour, I'm gonna work out, we'll be back. And they're like, okay. And sometimes they're like, hey, I'm working out, I'll answer. So
love it. I love it. And they come back and they're going to be bringing their satisfaction that they just created with taking care of them. They're bringing this to your company, and it's just beautiful. And I think also like to highlight, to show gratitude for that, like when you see an employee taking excellent care of themselves, to say, thank you so much that you are taking the time to take excellent care of yourself, because I tell you what, you're bringing that into the company and we are getting some of that goodness too. And also then when they show up and they're maybe not feeling so good, you say, you know, how can I support you? Then you can exchange it again. And how could you take excellent care of yourself today? Because I want to make sure that you are okay, because it's this constant exchange, right?
Of energy. Yeah. It's this constant exchange. And I do want to make sure that, you know, I do say like Athena is my baby. And I do want like the best people, just like you want the best doctors for your baby to be there. You want the best people to show up with their energy. So definitely I see that happening. So
I love it. I love it. So why the name Athena? I mean, I love the name. I just like to hear the story behind it, if you don't mind.
yeah. So I mean, if you know something about me, is that I'm very like woman to the power empowerment. I think we made that very clear.
We did. I love it.
So I wanted, so my company name started actually as a consulting company, and it had my last name, so Zarrate. And then 1 year later, I was like, you know, it's not a consulting company, it's a CPA company, but I wanted to make it in a way that I would show that it was, you know, all of these values of community and all of that. So I wanted to communicate that. And also something is that when I was little, I have a dad who is kind of obsessed with literature in a good way. And
Yeah.
he would read me Greek mythos. So I mean, let's face it, I'm also a little bit obsessed with Greek mythos. So I started looking for goddesses, and or gods. Like I put something like I looked online and I was like, maybe I want something like Greek, or maybe like Norman, you know, Nordic or something like that.
Yes.
So I put them up, and Athena came up. And I was like, oh,
That's it.
I love it. I love it. So I started Athena, and then I played around with it a little bit. And then I was like, yeah, this is it. This is my baby. And it's so funny because it does communicate all of that, empower my community. And like, obviously, if you see my logo, it's a little Athenian female warrior.
It's amazing. Everything, it's
So
aligned. It's everything, it's aligned. I mean, even you're talking about it, I can see your eyes firing up and your energy just pumped and whatnot. So it's perfect. It's really, really aligned. So where can people find you?
yeah, so we have quite a good Instagram page. It's at Athena CPAS. So feel free to follow us. We do have a LinkedIn, with the same Athena CPAS. So the name is Athena CPAs and Advisors, but the Facebook is the same.
Okay.
Or our webpage is www.athenacpas.com.
Yeah, and on LinkedIn, they can also find you under your name, right, Laura?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to spell your name so people can find you?
So Laura or Laura, and then ZARRATE is my last name. Yeah, and I do have like the CPA certificate and all of that. So I have the CPA and all of that. Yeah, but you know, like this Spanish, well, I guess I didn't mention I am Colombian American, so the Spanish is also gets lost, but it's fine. But yeah, and you can find me there. I do a lot of posts on like corporate thoughts and things like that, just because I do feel, I do feel like sometimes in LinkedIn we have to show we're humans again.
Yes, humans. We're human beings. Yeah, no, absolutely. So we are actually at the end. I mean, I could chat with you forever. And we met, and I really love your energy, and I met your husband, and I know on further, you know, events we will see each other because we do live in paradise, Tampa.
Yeah.
So, but thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing everything, just your whole you, because it's really valuable and people need to hear it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you so much for inviting me. I'm happy to be here. If you guys want to contact me, just let me know how what you thought about this. I do seek to empower other people. So this is Jacqueline. You hold an amazing podcast because I feel like it's all about empowerment, and I think we connected in the right way.
Thank you so much. Oh, I'm having a blast with this podcast. Really, really a blast. So thank you so much. And for your listeners, I really hope you got inspired. Ladies, you know, connect with Laura and get your finances empowered and all that kind of stuff and shift to it. And I hope it inspired you and you got some good inspirational wisdom for it. So thank you for listening.